Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next edition of AmiSights. I'm Ami Kastar, your host, along with our co-host, Lynn Ozer, aka SBA Queen. Super excited to have our friend Tim McDiarmid on the phone, on the session with us today, on the podcast with us today. I said phone, session, podcast, make it up, Ami. So, but secretly, I think Tim's in a beautiful, exotic part of the world today. So thank you for taking the time to be with us, and excited to hear about your journey and what you're going through and what you're thinking about next. So, Tim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ami. I'm happy to be here.
I'm
What's
happy to
going?
have you here
Yeah.
too.
What's going on, Tim? Tell us everything.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot,
Where should
Ami.
she begin, Ami? Let's give her a starting
Uh,
point.
yeah. I
You want
mean,
to go back and tell us about your entrepreneurial journey of opening your business?
yeah, that could take us like that could be like a mini series on Netflix. Um,
Give us the highlights.
okay, I really would for sure be like what it's I feel like all the new terms I learn, I'm like, who made that up? But I'm like definitely an accidental entrepreneur. I did not have any sort of I lived in New York City. I'm from Canada. I lived in New York City for 18 years. And then through a very dramatic and long custody battle breakup, I ended up in Texas, and I was a full-time single parent of a 5-year-old. And I have this thing where I think most entrepreneurs have a lot of trauma in their past. And the only reason they become an entrepreneur is because they have the stomach for it. So that was me. And I had to make a living. So it really was a very kind of, I worked in hospitality, and I'm a chef, and I started private chefing, which turned into catering, which turned into, and now I have this hospitality company. There's a lot of in between, but that's the kind of, and so, yeah, like I did not mean to be not, I remember the first time someone called me an entrepreneur, and I was like, weird. Like, I wasn't even 100% sure what that meant. I mean, of course, I kind of knew what it meant, but I mean, in context of me. And I have definitely been through like all the crazy, like, uh, corrupt business partner that I signed over half my life to, that then I realized he was like taking money from the company. It's a lot of like, I
Drama.
didn't I didn't know how to run a business. So I came into what I did 100% the creative. I was willing to give up everything to have a business partner that was going to run the business, until I realized I was like, wait a minute, something's not right here. And so from the very beginning, I will say, even just starting being like, I left an abusive relationship, moved to somewhere I didn't know anybody with a 5-year-old by myself, started cooking out of my house. And all of a sudden I was like, had a hospitality company. So every step of the way has been very difficult. I'll say this. I'm really smart. I'm very adaptable. I know how to ask people for help. Like, I've learned all those things. But I will say that there's never, ever, I thought about this a bit before when you asked me to come on this. I don't remember any time when I have been like, wow, this is the life, ever, in my entrepreneurial journey. It's always been like, well, also I have a hospitality company. So when COVID hit, I was like, maybe feeling, I just opened a second restaurant. I have restaurants, catering, and an event venue. And I remember there was a moment of almost relaxing a teeny bit, and then COVID hit. So that was its whole own craziness. And
Yes.
so, yeah, that's what I will say, the entrepreneurial journey. I've taught myself, I mean, most of the things I've learned have been from YouTube. I learned how to do, I remember when someone asked me about my P&L, and I was like, damn, what is that? And like, I already had my business. So, I mean, I learned how to do bookkeeping from YouTube. I mean, and then there's you guys, like both Ami, you, and Lynn have been very helpful. And I will say at this point, I have zero shame about asking for help and saying, I don't know what that means. But there was a long period of time where I was afraid of admitting what I didn't know. And I have since realized I think many people are pretending they know things that they don't. So yeah,
Especially when it comes to running a business and bookkeeping.
well, and I
So
think
did you
money
hire
is
someone?
killer. Well, I mean, I have a CPA, I have whatever, but it's just like I needed to learn. So I took over all of our bookkeeping for 2 years to learn what it all meant. And I still know people that I have friends that have like whatever else. So I'm so tired. I get the word successful gets very old to me because I'm like, in what way? Do you look cool or are you making profit? Do you have a good life? Like, let's define the term successful for a minute, you know?
Tell us,
Um,
let's level set a little bit. What are your businesses that you operate and run today?
so the hospitality company is called the Good Kind Hospitality Company. That's the overall umbrella company. So I have a catering company called Tim the Girl because my parents named me Tim, and it's been the strange thing of my life is a girl named Tim. So, and then I have a restaurant and I have an event venue. So the catering company, we do, big catering all around Texas. The restaurant has a physical location, but it is mostly outside. That's a whole nother thing. Climate change is like decimating the restaurant industry in Texas. Well, the South, period. I think many places. And then, so yeah, at an event venue. So we do like luxury weddings and corporate retreats and whatnot.
So you have a lot, like, I can barely manage one business. How do you manage three?
Yeah, it's not fun. I mean, I have, so I would say the best thing I've ever done. Look, I can say that the amount of strife I've had in doing this, the best thing that came out of it was learning how to manage people, choose the right people, creating teams. So I also do now at this point. So 6 or 7 years ago, I implemented EOS. Since then, I've done many workshops and trainings. And I wouldn't say like it's not, I'm a little like all the things that become the thing, and that's the thing you have to use. I'm a bit like whatever, like we're all smart people. So I would say it's now a hybrid of, but I've developed very good systems and I have really good people. So that's how I manage it.
So you've got these three businesses running in Texas, pretty substantial businesses, and we're gonna tell everyone the secret. You're in Italy now on like a 10 or 12-day trip. So like you, on the face of it, it seems like you got your life
Yeah,
totally under control, or is that not the
it's
case?
not, that's not real. So no, I work in Italy. I've been working here for 14 years. I work for my best friend's company doing food and culinary tours of Italy and France. So I do like a week at a time. We take 16 people at a time on our trip. So I've been doing this since before I started my other business. So from the beginning, I worked it out that like I have a team solid enough to handle like, but I actually still do our bookkeeping. I still do our QuickBooks. I still go and I manage things. And so I gave myself all the jobs I can do from away. I worked myself out of day to day in the company, like probably 5 or 6 years ago. But then COVID, obviously, I went back in. And so, yeah,
So Tim, what's your why?
why I do the businesses.
What's your why? What's your motivation? What do you love to do? When you wake up, what part of life do you wake up and feel jazzed about? What's your favorite thing of it all?
I mean, people. It is a tricky question because I am currently actually trying to sell the property and sell the businesses, and I actually don't want to do this anymore. So
all of them or some of them?
everything. So it gets more complicated.
Is that like a midlife crisis or is that for
No. So yeah, we really kind of do. So we need to leave Texas is part of it. But I also am really burned out of hospitality. What I would say is the reason, what gets me up, what made me love this business is people, experiences, being able to create interesting, unique experiences for people. And I've worked in hospitality most of my life, and I genuinely love to see when things come together. Like, I'm a real project-based person, and I love to see, like, I also love intense kind of short-term projects, which is really what my business is. I mean, the restaurant is sort of continuous, but as far as events, I love that part, but COVID really changed all of that. You know, people are more high maintenance. Having to run the back end of it all is a lot. It's a lot. Everyone I know right now with restaurants and in hospitality is really suffering. You know, we got a lot of help during COVID.
Let's just say the day comes and you're out of Texas and you've you're starting again. Do you have a picture of what you want your life to look like?
I sure do. And it's not hospitality.
What is it?
So I started a couple years ago, like a coaching and consulting business, to do specifically kind of with helping people, I think I'm not the only person that kind of accidentally created a business that they're like, whoa, wait a minute, what happened? So I have a few really good clients, and I'm going to go full time into consulting and coaching. I don't want, I have also, you know, I'm 50. I have realized that just the stress, the kind of like consistent, I won't even say low grade, reasonably high grade stress that comes with having a business that has massive amounts of overhead, and it's like a real luck of the draw whether you're going to be able to meet that every month. I don't want to do it anymore. So, yeah.
Fair. How's the
Yeah.
coaching practice going? Are you coaching now?
Yeah, I have a few. I mean, I don't have a lot of right now. The strategy, the amount of energy I'm having to use strategically to get out of my current business is pretty intense. So I am actually purposely trying to not think too much about it. And I have the few clients that I had starting, you know, 6 months to a year ago. So yeah, I feel pretty confident about it.
What kind of coaching are you doing?
Well, this is actually a pretty funny story. It started with like, I'm going to help people because, you know, I've been through, you know, I've been an EO for a long time. I've been through so many workshops and retreats and finding your why and and why do you do what you do? And I realized like that my kind of core values are freedom and peace. Sounds kind of cheesy, whatever. It took me years to get to that. So every single choice I make now is like, wait. So I originally started coaching startups, and I like had a complete, I did like a 4 or 5 day retreat with Christina Harbridge. You know her, yes. And I was doing this talk and presenting and she's like, something is like not right here with like the energy behind what you're saying. And I realized that startups are like the opposite of freedom, right? You're basically like helping someone go into, you know, 5 years of your life you're not really going to remember. And so now at this point, I'm doing more hospitality. So there's a lot of people opening retreats. A lot of people go into hospitality that, believe it or not, absolutely don't really know anything about it. Particularly retreats. So I have a few different really great. It's helping people figure out retreats and kind of hospitality concepts like that are already in it. So like me, right? Like I've had many business coaches. So let's say me 5 years ago, you don't know what you don't know. And I'm very, very good at, you know, seeing big vision. I'm very good at asking people like hard questions that they don't really want to hear and helping figure out like a plan of how their company can move forward. Strategy, I'd say.
So.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, would you mind telling us how you've gone about valuing your business? You have all different aspects of it.
Yeah,
So,
it's really hard. I mean, the main thing is that the bank, the SBA and the bank own the property, but the property was the best thing about that I ever did.
right.
If I had not bought the property, I don't think it would be very difficult even walking away. So selling the property is the key thing that is going to get me out of all the debt. Because I have a decent substantial amount of debt.
Right. Right.
Yeah. As far as valuating, I mean, they're really niche brands, and it's not something that would really be some national sale. So I'm like, have spent the last year. So it was a year ago, I realized that I was tired of living in survival mode, and I want an easier life. And it was kind of overnight. It became very clear to me that I don't want that.
I admire you, Tim, because entrepreneurship, well, I used to say that it's building a company. I used to say it's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Mhm.
But I've taken that analogy back and now say it's more like running a triathlon. And a
Yeah,
couple of times along the journey, you're going to change terrains, and a couple of times you're going to stop over to vomit, and sometimes you're going to be hot, and sometimes you'll be cold, and
yeah,
sometimes you're going to puke, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
yeah.
it's just going to change all along the way. But for
Mhm.
many people, when you're in it and you're on it, um, it takes over your life, and I think it takes a lot of guts and courage if you've made the decision that that's not the life you want anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it all the time. I mean, on different entrepreneur Facebook groups, whatever. I've over the years, obviously, I'm part of many, many groups. And I mean, I'm not someone who regrets things, and I'm like, whatever it is, what it is, and everything could be worse, and whatever. I just don't. I'm very quick to get over like what I could have, should have, would have done. It's a waste of life, I think. But when I see people actively in like the trauma of their business, I'm just like, for me, it was really hard. My business is very attached to me as a person. The brand is named after me. I'm very like, famous in my community. I'm a chef. I do TV. Like, it's like, so when I realized I wanted to get out of it, to actually disconnect my ego to imagine not doing it was really, really difficult, but I remember when this light bulb happened, and I was like, you know what? It's like kind of like I go, it's just life. Like, I can choose anything different. I mean, everyone has the capacity to make new choices, but I think it's very difficult when you're an entrepreneur to untangle yourself, to unravel yourself from like, because I think to be an entrepreneur, you have to be so pushy sort of with your ego, whether you believe it or not, or it's, don't even get me started about social media and how much you have to pretend everything's good even when it's not. It's very complicated, like, to unravel yourself from that. So, I mean, yeah,
Interesting.
that's kind of what I'd like to help people do, whether or not they stay in business. But it's like, I think the entrepreneurial journey for many people is not super planned, maybe. And all of a sudden you get where you get, and you're like, whoa, I've been like running, yeah, like you said, the triathlon for a long time. And you don't think you have a choice.
Because I don't know if you ever looked at the one-page personal plan, coaching tool and scaling up. And
Yes.
it really helps you pursue what you want personally. And we did one of those sessions once during COVID, and one of my buddies, he said to me, Ami, you don't give a shit if you get the next person the next loan. Your passion in life is helping entrepreneurs. You give people loans to keep your lights on, but uh, your passion in life is helping entrepreneurs. And that really struck me.
Mm.
So that's
Mhm.
kind of like diving into your why. So your passion is probably not that next event or that next meal or that next hospitality.
Not anymore.
So sometimes
Things change. Things change.
Yeah, things change. Sometimes we see it also. Sometimes entrepreneurs' risk tolerance changes also.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I was a full-time single mother and raising a kid, starting three businesses, and like I also like suffer a lot of guilt of how much I don't remember huge portions of his life because I was so busy working. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I have a choice. At the time I didn't, I did what I had to do and whatever, it's fine. He's fine, but I think, yeah, your risk tolerance changes and you get older. And now I'm just like, you know what? I don't have to suffer that much. Like, oh my God, payroll, oh that, like I'm just like, yeah, I don't, it's not exciting to me anymore.
Got it. So God bless
Yeah,
you for having
yeah.
God bless you for having the courage to try and to
Yeah, and
make
I
it.
think it's great that you're sharing your experience through it in the coaching. I mean, I'm sure you identify entrepreneurs who are still very passionate about what they do, and it's not the
Yeah,
time for them to exit.
sure,
And
sure.
you grew and grew until you didn't want to anymore. How many years
Mhm.
have you been in the business? Like when did you start
Thir
your first
like 13
catering
years,
business? Yeah,
13, 14 years.
yeah. So
I mean,
you didn't
sorry.
begin with the end of, building up the company into three different
Uh,
businesses and selling it, right?
honestly, I didn't even know what I was doing as it happened. Like it just was really like, whoa, like things like snowballed. And then I had investors and then I this and that, and I really like a lot of carts before the horses. And all of a sudden just like, whoa, what? And then someone say something, oh my God, okay, wait, what did you say? Oh, P&L. And I'd go home, like watch YouTube videos about bookkeeping. So like, look, that's probably
Yeah,
not everyone's journey, but I mean, it was
yeah,
mine. And I know other people are like, yeah, I think that's the thing I really now I would say like my superpower is connecting. And I absolutely, as soon as I start trying to figure something out on my own that I realize that someone else already knows, I'm like, stop, 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 ask for help. Stop, 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 ask for help. And so, because so many
really
people just
interesting.
they get afraid, who wants to admit that they're actually actively running something that they don't really know how to do. Right. I think I mean, I know at this point I've talked to many people that feel the same way. And I think there's like a real entrepreneurial,
Yeah,
like, yeah, I know this and here's this and this and this program and this whatever. But like at the heart of it, I mean, we need each
yeah,
other. Like people are the most important thing.
absolutely. I mean, so many entrepreneurs are extremely creative and passionate about their craft or their service. And they do go right into this business and blinded by the business
Absolutely.
end of the business. And it's really important,
Yeah,
really important.
absolutely. Yeah.
Tim, I celebrate your courage and we
Thank
celebrate
you,
you
Ami.
and celebrate your willingness to embrace this change and wish you the very best of luck
Do. We wish you the best.
as the next step of the journey evolves. So.
Best
Thank
wishes
you.
to you.